Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles, and cousins, of course, and mops and pops, or if you prefer the more classic, grandmother and grandfather, and baseball fans everywhere, welcome to another edition of the Valley Baseball League podcast. As you know, there are 11 teams in the league, 6 of them in the Northern Division and 5 in the South. Last week, we tried to catch up with Tyrie Blalock, but the internet was not cooperating. Tyrie has been incredible in terms of driving around, finding a place where we can connect with him wirelessly. And I'm happy to say that Tyrie joins me as well as our man, Joe Harmon. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Graham.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, so right before we started all of this, last year, our announcer in Staunton just about blew a gasket. There was a game it wasn't that late in the season. It was kind of early, mid-season maybe. For those of you who don't know, we're trying to catch up with the Staunton Braves. We were able to talk to Bob Weiss from the Harrisonburg Turks. We talked to several Tom Sox. We talked to the Covington Lumberjacks. And we've talked to the Waynesboro Generals, but we have not gotten to the the Staunton Braves. Tyrie, last year was your first year in the Valley League. Before we get to know you and before anything, catch us up on that game, set the stage for everybody, and then just tell us all just how crazy that whole thing was.
Yeah, so it was, if I remember correctly, I believe it was 9-2 going into the ninth. I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that, but that sounds right. I think we were down by, or it may have been 10-1 or something. We were down by 8 or 9 runs, and I think we ended up scoring 2 or 3 early in the inning, and then a couple fly outs or punch outs or something, and we 2 outs, and I think we were down by 7 at the point when we hit 2 outs, and then I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words. Everything kind of started falling for us. A couple hits that maybe shouldn't have dropped did, and then you look up and I think we're down by 1, and then Devin Adams comes up, hits a game-tying home run in the bottom of the ninth, and then go into what I believe was 11 innings, and Devin Adams, the hero in the ninth, ends up hitting another home run to walk it off. And it was kind of one of the things where nobody knew what to say. Nobody in the dugout was saying a whole lot. I mean, they were screaming and carrying on, but nobody was really processing what was going on. And then when the game's over, it's like, holy smokes, that was probably the craziest baseball game I've ever been a part of, because we're down by 9 or 8 or whatever in the ninth inning, and you hate to say that you probably kind of cash it in and you expect to lose that night, and then that happens, and it just reminds you that it's really never over until the last out. And it was a crazy experience that I was definitely glad to be a part of.
That's a great story.
Yeah, fantastic story. For those of you who don't know or haven't seen it or want to see it, the last part of that game is on the YouTube channel. Our announcer that night went back and dug through the stats. He said he couldn't find a comeback win of that size that dated back before something like 1907.
Wow.
So Tyrie, I'm gonna let you.
Tyrie, you weren't on the team in 18 then. You weren't with Staunton in 2018 because
I was not, but I actually played for Charlottesville in 2017 when we won the league.
As
a player, I was playing there, so it was a pretty cool experience to play, and then 2 years later get to be a head coach in the league. It was definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, Joe, I think you're going the same place I am. I'm going to beat you there because hockey players have skates and we move faster.
Whatever.
So Tyrie, this is your first season as a manager in the Valley League, and you're involved in a game like this. I mean, what are you thinking after something like this? And this early in your career.
Yeah, very early in my career, and I was about as excited, or if not more excited, than the players. It was definitely a cool experience. Lance Mock and Steve Cox. I mean, everyone was just going crazy. No one knew what to say. No one knew how to process it. Just a super cool experience going through that, and trying not to find a way to lose the game. Trying to take myself out of the game and let the players do what they're doing. Obviously, because what they're doing right now is working, and I'm not gonna interfere with what's going on with us kind of having this run in this inning or back end of a game.
So now, what do you do the rest of the year, Tyrie, after outside the Valley Baseball League?
So I was actually, this past year, I was an assistant coach at Northeastern State University in Oklahoma. We were a Division II school, and before that, I was at USC Lancaster Junior College in South Carolina, and I actually played at USC Lancaster few years ago in my college career. I started there, and then went on to Lander, then started my coaching career. So I'm kind of bouncing around all over the place right now.
Cool. And so as a full-time coach, that experience in that game where you said you decided to take yourself out of it, you decided to not let what was the term you said? Not lose it.
Right. Sure.
How to not lose the game. How does that translate to your day-to-day as a coach, as a full-time coach too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between letting guys play and inserting yourself too much into the game. And I think we all have a tendency to want to be more involved than we should be, and take away the fact that the players are the ones actually out there playing the game, and to not try to interfere with that, because I think coaches, in my opinion, probably lose more games than they win, and the players are the ones that are out there playing. So trying not to lose games for it, because I think as a coach, that's the worst thing, ending a game and knowing that you did something that causes us to lose, and it wasn't. I mean, it's your fault. I think that's the worst way to lose. So trying to figure out that fine line and balancing that between making decisions and trying to make, I guess, calls in the game, decisions in the game, or just letting the guys play.
Yeah. Any advice for guys like me who coach our sons in youth league? How do we stay out of it?
Yeah, just let them have fun, let them go out there and play and enjoy the game. That's kind of my thought on it.
Hey, Tyrie, take us back to 2017, if you would. Be so kind. So was that your first year with the Tom Sox?
It was, yep. So I was playing, I just finished my third year in junior college. I kind of suffered some injuries, so I redshirted. And I was in the process. I was going to Lander University, which was Division II in South Carolina. And I got up to Charlottesville, I think right around July 4th, maybe a little bit after the 4th. And I kind of walked into a situation where the team was rolling and playing really, really well. And I just kind of got to be a part of it, and got to play, I guess, a small role and be a part of it, and then get to play in the playoffs and go through that, which was a super cool experience. And play Strasburg in the championship was definitely a lot of fun and cool to be a part of. And I know Charlottesville's been a team that's had a lot of success in the league since they joined it. So it was definitely cool to be a part of, and definitely happy to say that I was kind of a part of that team and a part of that run that they had.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, you hit 269 in 26 at-bats that season in 10 games.
Yeah, so a very average guy that got to get in here and there. Nothing that's going to jump off the paper at you for sure.
Well, you were, like you say, you joined the team mid-season after playing junior college. And had you planned to join them mid-season, or was it something that just kind of came up out of nowhere and they're like, hey, come get your butt up here?
Yeah, it was kind of just out of nowhere. The head coach that I was going to play for, Jason Burke at Lander, called me, I think, whatever day. Then the next day I was on the way to Charlottesville. So it was a very quick turnaround from him calling me saying that they needed a guy to come in and kind of fill in on the infield here and there. And it was a quick turnaround for me to leave South Carolina and get up to Virginia.
Yeah, well, luckily it wasn't that long of a drive. You weren't coming from Texas or Oklahoma or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's got to be tough for anybody to be chilling at the beach basically, and to be driving 8 hours to a new town you've never been to, maybe don't know where you're staying, right, putting on a uniform you've never seen, grabbing a bat, on a field that you've never stepped on before. And what was those first couple of games like for you?
Yeah, it was a big kind of transition because I was trying to stay in shape and do everything I needed to do for the summer to get ready for the fall. But obviously I hadn't had a live at bat in 2 months or so. So there was definitely a little bit of a transition from going from kind of the personal development, working on the swing or whatever it was during the summer, to going into now I'm trying to play live games and help a team win. So it was definitely a challenge, but was definitely glad I got to do that to kind of transition into the fall at Lander, it definitely helps you out getting those live at-bats, and the in-game competition was definitely a good experience.
And before you ask your question, so real quick, how does it help when you get back to your team in college? What is, do you learn from being around other coaches and other guys who maybe you get a different perspective on the game and all those that kind of things? What kind of real concrete ways does it help you back at college?
Sure. I think for one, like you just said, being around other coaches and especially players sitting in the dugout or pregame BP or something, kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. Maybe their hitting coach says this and mine says this or something. Just getting kind of same thing, different ways from different people is definitely a bonus of it. I think just meeting other people and how they do things is always going to be beneficial to you. And then also in game, I don't think you can really replace that. There's only so much you can do on your own in the cage. And I think in-game at-bats or live innings on the mound as a pitcher are just kind of irreplaceable as a player in terms of your development. So I think that's the big thing. I think a guy that didn't get a lot of playing time at his school the previous spring, and then he gets to go into a good league like the Valley and play against top competition, I think is a great learning experience for players, at all levels.
All right, baseball fans, I really hate to interrupt this conversation with Tyrie Blalock, but there are 3 important pieces of business I have to get to. Have to. First, please subscribe, like, and share us. Really super important to get the word out about the Valley Baseball League. We're in the top 10 of all summer collegiate base wood bat leagues. We're in the National Alliance of Collegiate Summer Wood Bat Leagues. It's an alliance of 12 leagues. Including the Cape Cod League. We're one of only a few leagues sponsored by Major League Baseball. We want to let people know what's happening in the Valley, what's good about this organization, and why they want to be involved. So help us do that. Also, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, please share them. We'd love to hear from you. vbleague@isomermedia.com. That's vbleague@isomermedia.com. And I would be absolutely remiss if I did not pay tribute to our great sponsor, Grace Burrows. Two last years, I'm not sure if that's a sentence, but it sounds kind of cool. The 2 last years of Valley Baseball League live streams would not have happened if it were not for the contributions and support of Grace Burrows. Here's her latest book. If you haven't gotten it, support her by reaching out and getting it. It's a great read. She's a great writer. I'm happy to say I was one of her first readers. Anyway, take a look. All right, now it's time to get back to the conversation with Tyrie Blalock. I got to tell you, it was hard to track him down. About a week prior to finding him, we got in touch with him, but the signal wasn't strong enough to connect with him. He was kind of in the backwoods of South Carolina somewhere. Anyway, he got in his car, drove around for a while. We found a great location. The conversation got interrupted 3 times by poor internet connections, but he is a competitor. He stuck it out, stayed there to take the last pitch, and we managed to finish the conversation. Here's the rest of the conversation with Staunton Braves manager Tyrie Blalock. Hey, Tyrie, so I'm curious. A couple of days ago, we were talking to Zach Cole, and Zach was talking about, as a coach in this league, when you first start the summer, you don't really know what you have. We just spent a few minutes talking to Ryan from Virginia Tech, and he was talking about players coming in, and at the start of the season you might only have 3/4 of your roster. And then one of the things Zach was mentioning is Zach was talking about trying to get the players to go for the unselfish play, just trying to kind of get them to tone down and not be a hero. At the same time, Ryan was talking about really communicating them. When you've got only 3/4 of your roster, everyone's playing, but as people start to show up with the College World Series wrapping up, now you've got, you can't play everybody every night, and you've got to communicate better. You came to this league as a player, and now you're in it as a coach. How do you handle the start of a season with your players, and then how do you try to turn them into a team that's going to pull off a victory like the one you did against Harrisonburg?
Yeah, it's definitely the balancing act that summer baseball is and what it presents. Trying to get guys to, I guess, buy into being a part of the team when they're really there to personally develop as a player. So it's a balancing act, and it's a constant conversation that you're having with guys that being a part of a team is a learning experience in itself, and learning how to be a part of that and how to try to develop a winning culture or attitude amongst a group of guys that you're only going to be around for 2.5 months. So I think it's a constant conversation and dialogue that you have with those guys. And some guys, unfortunately, don't get the playing time that they want. But I think if you can go into it with an open mind, and for me personally, I didn't play every night in Charlottesville, but I look back on the experience as just a great opportunity to be a part of a team and win. And I think at the end of the day, that's more fun. I think when you're a part of a team that wins and you get a chance to compete for a championship at whatever level, I think that trumps any kind of individual stats or success that you may have personally. And that I know people probably have their agreements or disagreements with that, but that's definitely kind of the way I see it. Being around guys all pulling in the same direction for whatever it is, I think is a lot of fun to be a part of.
Is that kind of the speech you give first day you see everybody in Stanton?
Yeah, definitely try to. It's about you developing as a person and a player, and also us trying to win. And I know wins and losses in summer baseball aren't the end of the world, and people probably aren't losing their jobs over it. But there are communities, and Stanton, for one, is passionate about the Stanton Braves, and they want to see us win. So there's an element of decisions that have to be made around winning, and then there's certainly decisions that are about personal player development, and that's what I'm personally most passionate about is helping guys get better. So it was trying to balance the two of winning and player development.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the Stanton franchise for just a second. I mean, that is one of the founding members of the Valley Baseball League, and what a great and incredibly supportive community. I mean, their sponsors come out; they are behind their team 100%. They are committed to that team. Hey, I know there's a lot of stuff we want to talk to you about, but one of the most heroic games I've seen. So I've seen two really heroic games. Flash forward or flash back a couple of years back, 2018, I believe it was. Um, the Woodstock River Bandits had a miserable season. They lost almost as many games as the Baltimore Orioles did that year. They ended up with 7 players, or no, they had 9 players, and they still had, because of rainouts, they still owed the Winchester Royals a couple of games. And the Royals hadn't quite made it into the playoffs, I don't think. And they brought 9 players out, and they played a doubleheader, rotating the 9 players through, and it was really heroic. You guys, if I remember correctly, at the end of the last year, you had one of your players went off to the Cape, and you had 10 guys. Take us to that last game of the season right before the playoffs. That was, you guys almost pulled it off with, I think, only 10 players.
Yeah, that was a stressful but fun time because every pitcher and every position player is asking to play the other position. Every hitter's trying to get an inning on the mound, and then every pitcher's trying to get an at bat. And the guys that stuck it out to the end got exactly what they were asking for. I think we had, I'm trying to run it through my head, I think we had 4 or 5 pitchers out there playing in the field. And then we're playing Charlottesville to go to the championship, and we got 4 pitchers in our starting lineup. So it was fun, and it kind of got to where we were just like, we're playing with house money at this point. We're having fun and enjoying it, and if we're certainly trying to win, and we're doing everything we can for that. But let's go out and have fun.
Yeah, that's like, it reminds me of that story there reminds me of what I've always thought about the Valley League, is that I call it pure baseball. It's just about having fun. You're out there obviously to win, but because winning is fun. And
right.
Collegiate players who are doing it for the love of the game, giving up their summer vacation to play and get better, and just having a great time.
Right.
Hey, so how was your team shaping up in Stanton for 2020?
We were actually feeling very good. I think we had I think the final number was 10 or 11 that we had left at the end of last summer. I think we had 7 or 8 of those guys coming back. Andrew Check was coming back from Walsh University in Ohio, and argued to the end of that he was the best hitter in the league, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. So having him coming back was very exciting. Unfortunately, he was coming back because he had suffered an injury at his school, but it was going to be fun to have him back and in our lineup. And then Reed Salata was another guy from UMBC that we were excited about, who had pitched some meaningful innings for us the previous summer and played a role offensively once we got down in that limited roster size towards the end. So we had some guys coming back that we were really excited about, and unfortunately not going to get to do it, but obviously things are bigger.
So talk to a couple of the coaches around the VBL as we have with the NCAA changing eligibility restrictions because of the COVID-19 issue and the cancellation of a lot of the sports. It makes 2021 all the more exciting. What's your perspective on the 2021 team?
Sure, and I think we're going to see a lot of guys, older players in the league, and throughout college baseball as a whole, that have matured another year, gotten better personally and physically. So I think it's exciting. It's exciting to think about where the league could go and college baseball as a whole with a little bit older guys in the game, and then younger guys maybe get another year to develop in redshirt next year or something. So I think it's kind of hard to say where exactly it'll be. But trying to look at it in a positive way and think that the talent amongst the game is going to be probably at an all-time high.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, hey, really exciting to hear you were going to have Andrew Check come back. If I remember correctly, he went off at the end of the season up to the Cape to play. Do you know how he did up there?
So it actually kind of, I'm trying to think of the way to. The team he went up to, I'd actually spent the previous summer, 2018, with Katuitt Kettleers and Mike Robb, which is a head coach up there. And I sent him a text pretty early through the summer saying that I think we probably got one of the best players in the league and one of the best hitters in the country, in my opinion. So he's somebody you might want to keep an eye on. And he ended up getting to go up there. And I think he did okay. Didn't get to play as much as I'm sure he would have liked, but the talent up there is ridiculous, as we all know. So he got in there when he could, and I think he did pretty well. And they actually ended up winning the league up there. So that was a great experience to see him get to go up there, or a great opportunity for him to get to go up there and win obviously the most prestigious summer league in the country. So I was definitely excited for him about that.
You mean that's not the Valley League?
Right,
No.
Yeah, well. All right, you started it, so let me put it in perspective. Both the Cape and the Valley are in the top 10.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So there's a little perspective on it, and we both are partially funded by Major League Baseball. For people who don't know, just want to give a shout out to the National Alliance of Collegiate Summer Baseball, the NACSB. There are 12 teams in that league, which includes the Cal Ripken League, Coastal Carolina, and others, but it also includes the Cape and it includes the Valley Baseball League. So you started it, Joe. We're both in the top 10. How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just being a part of both of them, definitely would agree with that, no doubt.
So Tyrie, what's on your roadmap for the future as a coach, as a baseball guy? What's the next step in your career?
It's kind of hard to say right now. I'm kind of bouncing around and trying to figure out what my next best fit is going to be. And obviously this profession, there's only so much in your control as to where you get to live and where you get to work. So I'm trying to figure out, the goal was to get back into the Southeast. My fiance lives here, want to be here, kind of start a family here at some point. So I'm actually kind of had a couple different opportunities pop up over the last week or two during this kind of downtime that we're all in, and kind of exploring those and what's going to be the best fit for me and my fiance moving forward. So it's kind of up in the air right now.
Well, hopefully you'll stay close enough to the Valley that you can come back and continue to be a coach here, and if not, be a fan and all that. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of stories about guys that came to the Valley to play and ended up just camping here, and they're still around. So.
Right.
All right, Tyrie Blalock, head coach of the Staunton Braves. Looking forward to the 2021 season. Great talking to you. Great catching up. You stay safe and healthy, and hope that your family does the same. And we'll talk to you again real soon. All right.
Absolutely. Same to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thanks, Tyrie.
You too.
All right, be safe. Congratulations. When's the wedding?
It's going to be next summer. It was initially planned to be December 2021, but we're going to bump it up to next summer. So kind of getting busy with trying to plan all that stuff right now.
All right, man. Well, enjoy. All right. Safe travels. Hey, if you land in any team this summer, will you reach out to me and let me know? Because it seems like you have the potential to end up somewhere.
Absolutely.
All right, baseball fans, that's going to do it for us for tonight's Baseball League podcast. Want to let you know what's going to be coming up. First, before we get away from the Staunton Braves, take a look at the comments. I put a link to the last 30 minutes of the Staunton Braves game. Some exciting stuff took place there. Tomorrow night, we're going to bring you Donna Settle. She is the president of the Front Royal Cardinals. Give you a good chance to take an inside look at what it takes to make a Valley League team work. Get a chance to understand what the host families do and how important they are to the teams in the league. And on Tuesday night, we're going to try to wrap up our survey of all the teams with a conversation with Jay Neal. We had some technical difficulties with that one, kind of like trying to connect with Tyrie. Hopefully we'll be able to piece something together out of that. And then we're going to get into our conversations with John Leonard. That'll take several days to get through the all-decade teams and meet the players on both the A and the B teams. And after that, we're going to start to talk to some of the players from the all-decade teams, as well as some of the other players who have been in this league, whether they've gone on to the pros or gone on to other things. Give you a chance to find out what they got out of this league. And if you're a player looking at this league, give you a chance to consider why you might want to come and take part. That all starts tomorrow night. So, on behalf of the league and the teams in this league, I want to wish you all perfect health, and I want to wish you all a speedy return to the baseball diamond. I'm Graham Knight. Thanks for watching tonight. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on the Valley Baseball League's YouTube channel. Have a good night, everyone.